Hey, this is Clayton with Big Guy Buys, coming at you with another campground review. This one here is Indian Lakes, a Thousand Trails campground located in Batesville, Indiana. We spent 2 weeks here in July of 2020. The check-in process starts with kind of parking at the gate. You go in the little ranger office right there. And what you'll do is they give you a map. They tell you where to park. Parking is like a spot is not assigned, but a section is assigned. And then you put down a $10 deposit for a gate card. Once you're given the gate card, they do let you in. You go park in your section, and you let them know what spot that you parked in. As far as amenities, they have a pool, a laundry facility, which is around $2 to wash and dry. For each, they have a playground, they have a putt-putt, cabins, a lake with boat access. They have, this is the first one I've ever seen actually at a Thousand Trails campground. They have a golf course. It is a full-fledged golf course. They do have a gas station. They've got ice cream, a store. You're able to receive packages from Amazon, UPS, whatever you need. If you're doing some online shopping, you can receive packages there. They also have a picnic pavilion with grills. And they also have a, basically under construction, they have a little sign out there near the picnic pavilion that has a splash park, pool, and bathhouse coming soon. Some of the pros to this campground is they do have large sites in the Phase 4 section, which is where we spent 2 weeks of our time there. They do have a lot of amenities. This is a pretty large campground. It has a lot of annual sites, and it does have basically Phase 2 is where the transients are mainly located, but they also kind of fill in Phase 4 here and there. But I believe they are trying to make most of the campground annual sites. Some of the other pros are paved roads. The roads are pretty decent. Usually something I'm used to in the Thousand Trails collection is, gravel roads, not very well maintained, pretty standard throughout. There are a few select campgrounds that I've visited those so far in the Thousand Trails network, such as Orlando and this one, that have had pretty decent paved roads, well maintained. And, of course, this one is decently maintained as well throughout the majority of the park. Some of the other pros are you're about 35 minutes from Cincinnati and an hour and 15 minutes from Indianapolis, Indiana. Located in Indianapolis, there's a pretty decent children's museum. I think it's the world's largest. It's really cool. My son had a great time. We are during the COVID pandemic, and they did really well with mask mandating. Everybody that actually went in the building was required to wear a mask. But honestly, we went there, and there was very few people. And the facility is huge. The staff was very friendly at the Indianapolis Children's Museum. There was lots to do, and it was very safe. There was tons and tons and tons of hand sanitizer stations located throughout. Everybody was doing a pretty good job wearing masks, and if the staff saw anybody without a mask, they did pretty good to let them know, hey, you need to wear a mask. So that was one really great benefit to the Indianapolis Children's Museum. In Cincinnati, like I said, about 35 minutes away, they do have the Cincinnati Zoo. However, a little more disappointing actually at the zoo. It does say on their website that they require masks, but when we got there was no enforcement at all. Only the staff was wearing masks, and most people had masks but weren't actually wearing them. And it wasn't very long before we actually went ahead and left the zoo. It's something I visited when I was a child, and it was a great zoo. And nothing wrong with the zoo, just during this pandemic, they're not doing a very good job with mask mandates. There's not really a great way to social distance, even though it is outside. There are many places within the zoo that are very close quarters, and with other people not wearing masks, it was just too much for us, and we went ahead and left maybe 20 minutes after we got there. So sad that my kids weren't able to go see the great zoo that they do have. Now for my list of cons. Even though, I would say the overall experience was pretty decent at this location, they did have quite a few cons. Some were in the control of the campground, some were not. We'll start with the rude staff. Upon check-in process, We did actually go, I went up to the counter, I talked with the ranger at the ranger station, and they asked me if I had been there. I said no. Luckily, I'd watched several videos before, and I want to give a shout out to Watts on Wheels. Love watching their videos. They really prepared us for coming into this campground by watching their video. And, like I said, the ranger asked us if we had been there before. I said no. They tried to put us in phase 2. Now, the thing about phase 2 is that most of the sites within there are not big rig friendly. And I have a 36-foot camper bumper pole that's 50 amp. They tried to put us in there, and most of the sites do not have sewer. There's only a handful that actually have sewer, and we were staying there for 2 weeks. And the staff said that, we don't assign spots, but that's where we're going to put you in that location. I said, well, what about phase 4? Are there any spots located in that section? Because I'd watched Watts on Wheels review. They said that was a really nice phase. They have a big rig, much bigger than mine, but is certainly a better place for our needs. And they said there was nothing there. They don't ever, they try to keep the those sites open, for larger. And I said, well, my vehicle is larger and it's a 50 amp. And they said, well, whatever, you know what you're doing, and just go ahead and leave. And they shut me down right there. And I went back over there into phase 4, and there's 4 spots there. And I just picked one, parked it there, and there was no problems with me, in that location. The other thing is upon our checkout, originally I got in my gate card, there's a $10 deposit. Same person who checked us in, checked us out. This person said, hey, we're going to go ahead and put your refund back on your card. And we said, no, we didn't pay with a card. We paid cash. And they said, we don't accept cash. And we were like, well, we gave you $10. And at that point, they just wanted to argue with us and tell us that we didn't pay, even though, like I said, the woman there was the first person that I checked in with and I checked out with, had no recollection of me ever giving $10, said they don't accept cash at all, yet they accepted $10 cash for me for the gate card. So that was my first con, as far as, certainly not a great experience dealing with the staff. It wasn't even just her. It seemed like when you would speak to some of the staff, they wouldn't really know exactly what to do in terms of the things you were looking for, especially with package receiving. We tried to get one of our packages. The store didn't open until noon because they've got limited hours right now, which was not a big deal. But when we asked about the package, they went into their package holding area. They couldn't find it. We offered to, hey, we could go back there and we could just take a look. They went back. They finally found the package, but weren't very courteous about the whole process overall. And the other thing is this is a KOA 1,000 Trails combination park, and all of the staff is wearing typically KOA uniforms, so you don't really know who to talk to in terms of, what you need for what type of park you're staying in. The other cons were the gas station. This isn't really a big deal, but just to mention it, the gas station, if you're going to get gas at their gas station on the facility premises, don't bother getting gas there. You're going to pay about almost $1 more than 10 miles down the road. And there's also like a BP within like 2 miles down the road. So don't bother buying any gas from their location. It's way too overpriced. Just go down the street and get some there. Another con was cell signal. I work from home. I do a lot of video conferencing. I've got to have a reliable cell connection. I do have T-Mobile and AT&T, and both were not good enough to do video conferencing, that's for sure, and barely good enough to do anything else. I did end up buying a WeBoost cell router, and I'll do another video on that later on, but that definitely helped me get through the 2 weeks. It was great, worked well. That was perfectly fine and improved my cell signal good enough to actually get my work done. Something else, the gate rules. So this is kind of odd. You do have a gate card, and when you pull up to the gate at the ranger station, you use your gate card to get into the park, but the staff or the park ranger is typically, they just raise the gate for anybody. Something we saw there, because people don't know when to go or not to go, because you would think if you give me a gate card, that's the only way to get into the park, but a lot of times they just raise the gate when they see you. So with something we saw while we were actually coming out of the the exit, was a nice high-end sporty looking car go up to the gate. They raised the gate, and then they brought it right back down on the hood of the vehicle. I felt very bad for that person, and something I noticed was we left, we came back, and by the end of the day, there was foam on the bottom of those gate bars because they saw what they did to the car. One of the other cons to this was not a lot of trees in the transient spots. Annual sites, beautiful, lots of woods and things like that. The transient sites, not so much, and it was extremely hot in the month of July. 80s, 90s, and, even running 2 air conditioners without any shade is pretty rough in the summertime up there. Not enough laundry facilities. There's not enough laundry facilities for as big of a park as this is. It was certainly hard to get in there and do your clothes or wash your clothes when you needed to. Some of the cons they can't really control at the park. We're really, closest Walmart's around 25 minutes away. I think the closest grocery store is about 12 minutes. The closest town is not too terribly far, though. It's called Batesville. It's about 10 minutes away. There's plenty of food there. That's pretty much it for that. One of the other cons of the park, though, is the maps and the signs, and, are kind of confusing. Because this is a combined site of KOA and Thousand Trails, things are labeled for the KOA a lot, but they don't really give you correct directions on how to get through the park. So I would certainly improve that. And, of course, combined with rude staff, it's pretty hard to navigate the park on your own as it is, and then there's no support when you have questions. So, to sum everything up, do I think this is a overall good purchase? Well, we didn't pay anything because it's included in our Thousand Trails membership, but if I was going to pay here and I got the same experience from the staff as a paying customer, I would probably be pretty disappointed, at least in customer service. Would I stay here again? Certainly as a Thousand Trails member, I'll probably stay here again. I might stay only for 1 week, though, just because it wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad either. But all in all, I would stay here again. I wasn't terribly disappointed, just I wish there was a little bit more improvement in some of the areas. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate anybody who actually pays attention to these videos. I really only do them for everybody else's benefit. I'm a full-time camper, and it's nice to watch a video to be able to see kind of what you're getting into before you get to a campground. So this is the pandemic time, so please stay safe out there and happy camping.